4, 1, 2.
Because I had that picture that was supposed to go up, but I didn't really want it, so.
It's going to take a little bit because there's a delay.
Yeah. Sorry, folks. The way we normally get audio is a little wonky right now. If you can even hear me.
Check, check.
You gonna start ASMR stream?
Check. Didn't it just say that? Yeah, we're good. What up, people? What up, people? What up,
We can
people?
officially get to rocking and rolling. Oh, boys. The boys are buzzing this week. We actually won the game this time instead of losing to the worst team in college football. So there you have it. I have no clue which camera is which. Do you?
A tarantula. I can't even say it.
The heck?
The Human Torch was denied a bank loan. The Human Torch was denied a bank loan. The arsonist has oddly shaped feet.
Is that from Anchorman?
Yes.
Got the woman and the children.
I haven't seen the movie in a long time. The arsonist has oddly shaped feet.
Oh, well. As we get into this one fully now,
This table's going to fall, by the way.
this table is wonky. I'm not trusting this one at all.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tyler's Corner, the place to be for all Miami spread talk.
I've already informed Andrew there's going to be a ton of spread conversations
No.
in this one. Not a ton, but I'm definitely going to talk about the spread because we have quarterback problems again, and I think it solves a lot of them. Not necessarily as to it makes one glaringly better than the other one, but I think it makes both quarterbacks a lot better in terms of what they could do.
Nope.
And
Nope.
and it stills the third one who I talked about last week.
Nope.
But
Kosey's out. Kosey's injured. He's done.
yeah, that remains to be seen. But I think I agree with you. We're just gonna start off with.
He wants to start off with the good.
I was talking about Miami's offense because we did this on Thursday, and they had not named a quarterback.
Well, they obviously chose the wrong quarterback.
So I said Tate the whole way, and I was like,
I think we both did.
yeah, I think by the end of the podcast, I kind of persuaded you with the
Well,
clip.
I had never seen Tate play.
True, and Tate played in a true spread offense, which is like I feel like that's every Miami fan at this point. It's like every Miami fan is on the spread and knows what the spread is, and like our offense doesn't work in the way we're doing it. So
Yeah.
So kick that off to Friday. They announced that Kosey was the starting quarterback. I immediately typed in the tweet that I saw that the guy confirmed it. I said, these coaches are a bunch of jokes. And then my cousin joined in because right after that, they announced that Tate, for some magical reason, was nowhere to be. He had a medical leave of absence, which could not be more Godfather sounding than anything I've heard in my life. I was like, look at me and tell me I believe that. Like, dog. We're not a dumb fan base. We don't go to this school. We're not easily persuaded. We have a lot of standard. It's like, that's what you're going to say to try to make the Tate fans, I would guess at this point, happy, is you're just saying, you know what? Tate is taking a medical leave of absence.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, he practiced Tuesday and Wednesday. So what happened on Thursday? Because apparently a lot happened on Thursday with Jaron probably not even showing up to practice is what apparently the rumor is on Thursday, because they said that Jaren was perfectly fine to go for the game, but he did not meet his weekly deliverables, I would say, and therefore Kosi got the nod with a separated shoulder still.
Yeah, with a 10 for 24 for 104 yards.
We'll get into that.
With an interception. He got the nod. He got the nod all right.
He definitely got
He got the nod.
They wanted him to start.
Thanks, Dan Enos.
But what worries me is apparently Jaren was MIA or did not do his deliverables throughout the week, and that worries me a little bit. But we're just going to kick it off with the phase of the ball that I really thought Miami could not have been any better at, which was defense. Compared with Pitt's offense, I mean, Pitt's offense was their offensive coordinator is Mark Whipple, who used to be the offensive coordinator at Miami during the Randy Shannon era. And as everybody knows, Ja'Cory Harris threw maybe at a minimum of 50 interceptions every season.
Wait, whoa, you're going to start off like this?
Yes.
Okay, he should have said Miami got the dub. Miami obviously won.
Yeah.
And he's not even excited about it.
It's like, I'm excited that we win because winning is always better than losing at the end of the day. But I don't think it matters. Because this score, to me...
No, I think it matters.
It does matter in the grand scheme of things. But in terms of are we making any strides on offense? No.
Defense. I mean, we're talking about.
Defense, I think, is infinitely better from where we were.
Very good strides.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I see it on here, but McLeod.
He was really good.
Yeah.
I was really surprised because, like, I've seen him play. Right? Yeah, because he plays that. Yeah. I think he plays the middle linebacker position, technically, but he's got kicked outside because Shaq plays middle linebacker.
Yeah.
In that scheme.
Yeah.
And I don't think he could have played any better. I mean, I remember him the first couple seasons, and he was always just like the one left out in terms of ability and awareness and everything, because his sophomore season, though, they had switched to that striker defense that Romeo Finley plays so well. But it was like, you could tell he was kind of like lagging behind when they would bring him in off the bench.
Yeah.
But this game, I've never seen, I don't think our linebackers, period, play like that. He played with such speed. You can tell he's not.
Too, I mean.
You can tell he's not very aware on run defense, which is like, you can tell that's obviously the reason he doesn't play over Pickney, because Pickney is insane on run defense. Pickney cannot cover that well. That's more of Shaq's job. Shaq cannot play cover well in man because he's not fast, but it seems like Shaq always knows where the ball's going and is very rarely out of position unless he's told to be somewhere else that's out of position.
Yeah, and on that note, like, I also watched a little bit of rotisserie, as I call him.
Oh,
Gregory.
Jesus.
He did amazing, but there were some plays where it was like kind of like some passes to the running back from Pitt.
That he was having to cover them?
Yeah, and he just couldn't cover the speed
especially
of their running back.
The very first series. I think it was the second play.
Yeah.
It was their third down. Was their second down or third down?
One of their first plays, yeah.
And Greg Rousseau gets matched up on the running back on a main cover on a wheel route.
Yeah.
This running back is technically a receiver, not by position, but he's small, he's slim, he's maybe 180, maybe 190.
Yeah.
And his calling card is speed. And you got Greg Rousseau, who is a really athletic person in general, but then he has to guard a running back out in the open space, and that just spells disaster.
Yeah,
but Greg Rousseau,
Greg's a beast, but he just doesn't have that. Same speed.
He had 8 tackles, or not 8 tackles. He has 3 sacks this game.
I think he had 3 sacks in the. No, wait, I'm thinking something else.
I'm trying to remember because he now leads the ACC in sacks.
Yeah.
And I forgot to write that down, and I wanted to make sure as I was driving over, it like just clicked in my head. I was like, I forgot to put that on our notes that we had, that Greg Rousseau leads the ACC in sacks.
Which is interesting, too, because this is, his second or third game this season?
This is his third start. He started Virginia. Brother.
Ooh, brother. I mean, like, hello.
You're new to this. It has always been this way in terms of Miami and talent. So
yeah, 8 sacks this season. They don't have tackles for loss, which we did have some tackling issues still.
Yeah.
Wasn't as bad, but
I mean, Miami's D-line as a whole had 4 sacks when one of them was a half sack, I think, between Shaq, I know it definitely was Shaq, and I forget the other D lineman. It may have been Garvin or maybe Nesta, because Nesta was getting kind of bullied around that game. I don't know if that was because they were just doubling him up every time, because you could watch Greg Rousseau and Nesta are the two. You turn on the film and watch the whole game, and you're just like, bro, those stats don't even account for anything. Like 3 sacks on Rousseau, like that's a really good stat for a redshirt freshman. But you watch him play, and you're like, he only had 3 sacks. Like he only had 4 tackles for loss. Like
he had trouble though, because their O-line wasn't
their O-line
as bad as ours.
Well, their O-line, that's what I was starting to get into at the beginning, is that when Mark Whipple is one of the only teams in the ACC like us that runs a pro-style offense, which means they have been recruiting this offense, though.
It's funny, though, because they have a weaker quarterback than Miami does.
Their quarterback is not very good. I mean, they were calling Mark Whipple the quarterback whisperer. I'm like, dog, I remember this joker at Miami. I was 12, 13, and I was like, man, I don't like this guy, because his son Spencer was on the team. And I remember, like, Ja'Cory Harris got hurt, and I think somebody else got hurt, and Spencer Whipple had to play in a game, and I've never seen a more mad fan base in terms of with my own eyes at a game than that. I'm pretty sure the backup then was Stephen Morris, and I think Stephen Morris got hurt too. And but they were calling him like the quarterback whisperer, the quarterback guru, and I was like, dude, there's no way this is the same guy. I remember who threw the ball 40 times a game in a pro-style system when we had terrible quarterbacks. But you can see Pitt's offense, though, is very much built to run the football, but they don't have a good, solid number 1 running back. They have like 3 guys.
Yeah, he's not.
Like they had 3 guys for over 50 yards each. So they ran the ball for like 176 yards in this game.
Yep.
But they still did not have a singular guy like their James Conner guy that was like gonna, they're gonna give this ball to this guy and he's gonna be their playmaker. It's like they were using all 3 of them in very different roles. One guy was like their wildcat guy. One's the little skinny guy, the slasher. They were just, speed sweeps with him. And they had another regular size running back that was kind of a balance and in-between guy.
Lots of jet sweeps.
Yeah, it was a very much a pro-style scheme. And we've seen that it didn't avail to much in the red zone again, like a Miami offense normally does.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same situation, though. 2 really good defenses, which Miami stepped up really big. And they put the pressure with Rousseau, put the pressure on Pickett, made him throw some bad throws. But, McLeod was there, and Ivy.
Well, the thing is, their quarterback, Ivy stepped up in a way that's like on paper. In terms of the game, I can't remember off the top of my head how well he did play by play. But in terms of a game, like overall on paper, I'm almost positive that, from my recollection, that Ivy had a pretty good game.
Yeah.
Which the secondary of that defense was not challenged whatsoever. I think they only threw the ball for like 170 yards. You got it right there, don't you?
146 from Pickett.
Yeah, that's not good.
I mean, we threw 154. We'll get into that. But
he was 18 for 32 throwing the ball.
Yeah, 2 interceptions. Yeah,
technically 3. If you like that one, it can be a fumble. It could be an interception. That was an excellent play by Bubba Bolden anyway, to rip the ball out and get the ball back.
Yep.
And just really, like, our defense really stepped up, and it made their offense look like a non-factor and throwing the football. So they were starting to counter that by offsetting their right tackle, moving him to the left side on an unbalanced offensive line and just running it that way, and daring Miami's linebackers to cover when they only play 2 linebackers to begin with. And Finley is an undersized linebacker to kind of cover. And it's like, well, Miami don't have the depth even now, even with Pick playing the game. You really don't want to play 3 linebackers because you're trying to save McLeod. No way. So you can't really go 3 linebackers anyway, but much less with Pick hurt. So it was a kind of a rough start with Miami. I think they wind up stopping it pretty well, especially at the end of the game. They went to a lot of wildcat. They try to just take Pickett out the game. We're not obviously can't throw the football because Miami's defense was just insane in terms of what they wanted to do with the football, or what they wanted to do on defense when they were dropping back and trying to throw the football. So that was that could not have been a better game for that defense, in my opinion.
Yeah,
because we were getting gashed on the run, and then they would get down in the red zone, and we would just stop them. Just 0, zilch, nothing. You could not have the touchdown.
Yeah.
And they were settling for field goals. It should have been 9-16, but that kicker kicked a 55-yard field goal.
He was a beast. Yeah,
that was an insane game from him.
But yeah, DJ Ivey did get 2 interceptions, 28 yards between the both of them.
Yeah, the first one was an excellent play on McLeod.
Yeah, he should have wore the 3.
He flew
cut
out.
the chain in half.
Yeah, because he got a good hand on that one. It went right over the offensive player and right into Ivey's hands. Then the second one, interception, the real interception, was just thrown right to Ivy. And their receivers also did Pickett no favors in this game, too. Their tight end, I remember the tight end dropped one on a curl route right in front of the line, or right in front of the quarterback. It hit his hands and fell on the ground. I remember Bubba Bolden picked it up and was like, tried to give it back to him. I remember laughing so hard because, we could not have been bailed out more on defense on top of the fact that they were gashing the ball on us. Throwing the football for them was not existent, and it really helped the fact that they were running the ball so well.
They did manage to catch one good catch and threw the U up. And that didn't help them either. So, but Pittsburgh was 16 first downs, 9 for 20 third down efficiency, and 0 for 1 fourth down efficiency. They had total yards of 322, and it was just ugly for Pittsburgh. I knew Pittsburgh's defense was going to be really good, but, I mean, we'll talk about that, but I didn't really think they were as good as they were going to be. But
as you said, they were 9 for 20 on third down, which is not good to begin with, but they actually had maybe 4 of them, I would say, where they converted on, Pickett running the ball from, Manziel kind of ways, where he was running all the way across the field, slipping tackles, and he would barely get it. And it would just make you so frustrated. Yeah. They would drive down the field, and then Miami's defense would keep their heads on them and stop them, and then it was just undone. You can't go no further. And, it was good to see that they were able to run the ball so willingly at times on us, and we were still just, you got nothing in terms of actually getting points. So.
Yeah, but Pittsburgh's O-line?
Yeah, they're good. They were able to move Miami's line all around, especially the fact that they only had 2 linebackers. They definitely took advantage of that.
It was a nice. It looked good. It was like if Miami had that.
Yeah. For sure.
If Pickett was that terrible still with the O line that he had, it's like then there's still no hope for Miami.
Yeah, because Mark Whipple's not a good offensive coordinator to begin with. So.
Yeah, he's a QB whisperer, as you said.
He was like, as soon as I saw that it was Mark Whipple, I think on Friday, I saw that and I was like, oh, I should have even checked who their offensive coordinator was. Because, I mean, a lot of Miami fans know who Mark Whipple is, and we don't that could not be further from the truth in terms of quarterback whisperer and offensive guru or whatever. So.
What year was he with Miami? When you were a kid, you said?
Yeah, so that's Randy Shannon. So that was 05 or 06 to maybe 2010, 09, somewhere around there.
Oh, wait, before we move on, KJ Osborne, clutch.
Oh, yeah.
Clutch touchdown. Yeah. Break it. He technically broke 2 tackles to get that.
Yeah, you talk about tackling with Miami. It wasn't that great, but they still had 2 missed tackles to lose them the game completely.
Yeah, and it was like he just bounced right off them and just straight for the touchdown.
I would like to say though, my prediction at the end of our last episode was 17-10.
Oh, was it?
It would have been 17 if they had not gone for 2 and kicked the extra point. So it was 17 to.
That's pretty close.
12.
I don't even remember what mine was.
I think yours was like
25 something.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I don't remember being that.
Yeah.
I don't
Because
remember what it was.
You said something about they'd have to make a kick.
Yeah, I said 14-10. I remember. I said no, Miami should make a field goal.
Yeah, Price did it.
Yeah, Camden Price actually made one. So
their first kick was like a 22-yarder, and I was like, oh no. But then I saw Camden Price, and I was like,
everybody in my house was just like Hail Marys.
Especially after Pittsburgh hit that 55 first.
Yeah,
it was just like
he kicked that, and it just didn't waver, it didn't wobble, nothing, just boom. And I was like, man, this could be a rough one. And then Pitt's offense did about as bad as Miami's offense. I mean, Miami's offense was just flat out terrible.
But Pittsburgh did better on paper, but they looked worse, much worse.
Yeah. Miami's plays were definitely there. So, because Pitt was rushing the pass exceptionally well. They were getting, not in the terms that they were beating our guys one-on-one. they were doing what their calling card is. They were blitzing guys from every which direction to just having Perry forcing Perry to not look down, to stand in there, deliver the passes, and he did not do the latter. He was ducking his head down, getting the ball out at the last second, and it's like, dog.
Well, there's a great article on State of the U about Perry. I don't know if you saw it.
He's a very big Cozy Hive guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the head guy of State of the U.
But
he usually writes those articles.
He was talking about how Perry's setup looks like Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
Like the beginning of his throw is like identical to Tom Brady, but the ending, there's no follow.
Oh, I think it was a different guy that game too. So it wasn't the guy I was thinking of, but
yeah,
because they have several.
He did like a film review.
Yeah,
it's on like their main page, but it's pretty interesting. I would definitely recommend you checking that out. But yeah, this is like the worst Perry.
Yeah, because I mean, while their pass rush was good, it just never really amounted anything. I mean, they sacked us twice, and both of those times were definitely Cozy's fault.
Yeah,
he stands up, keeps his eyes downfield. We're running a mesh route. So what the mesh routes are is they come underneath. They just don't even take a step forward, and your purpose is to bump your corner. Your corner is trailing you, and so you got Brevin.
You try to lose them after.
So you got Brevin and you got D. Wiggins, and you're trying to get your corner to kind of run around Brevin.
But Cozy never has time for that.
That's what I'm saying. If you have a capable quarterback that's willing to take that hit, and you could just throw it and know your receiver's going to be there, but Cozy doesn't do that, and it takes a lot of guts to do that, and I think Jaron typically does that. And which is why you see him get sacked a lot more, is because he doesn't really want to bail out, because he wants his guy to get open. And but Cozy was just keeping his eyes down. At the very last second, was just getting away from a guy and then throwing it away. And you would see him at times too, even to predetermine to throw the football to a guy, and they were just locked in on it. Especially with his interception
too.
Say it again.
Especially just like following his guy and not even looking at anybody else.
Yeah, because
he's just like not even looking anywhere else.
Yeah, especially with the interception, that's a mirrored concept in the sense that they have two receivers on each side, and they're both going to run the same routes. So the two outside guys are running goes, and the two inside guys are running out routes, and that is a typical play that's been run for many, many years, and the corner is in man coverage, and as Cozy goes to throw it, he's got his eyes peeked back at Cozy in man coverage, which you don't do because at man coverage, you're looking at your man and what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he's got his eyes peeked back at Cozy, and Cozy just eyeballs him the entire way, throws it, overthrows it completely, and that guy doesn't even have to move, just stops where he's at,
he just catches
and just boom, goes right to him. And that's when I was like, I'm done with this guy. Get him out. Because
from the first drive, I was done with him.
Well, I'm
just being honest.
I don't want to be like that, because I always was like, get him a chance, because maybe he's really better than Jaron. Who knows?
He might have been, but he's obviously hurt. He's trying to push past pain, and
I just can't help but feel like we could have scored a ton of points. I'm saying like 31 if we completed our passes. Like, their defense did not play well at all. Their pass rush was good. If you got a quarterback who was confident and stands in there like we did at the end, because
you're getting ahead of yourself, young man. Just take the win.
We scored 16.
Just take the win.
Jaron came in for 2 drives and scored a touchdown.
Yeah, if he was in the whole game, yeah, I see you scoring maybe 20.
I mean,
24.
We only ran the ball 16 for 60 yards. Like, we did not run the ball that well. I mean,
which Harris isn't a bad running back, but
our offense sucked.
We probably could have used DJ Dallas for this game.
I mean, our offense sucked. It was archaic. It was prehistoric. It is always going to be that throughout the season. So,
I think Cozy was hurt is what I'm saying. I think he was scared. He didn't want to get hit.
I could see that part.
O-line, you did a much better job.
I mean, Zion Nelson's going to get a lot of flack for the way he played, because he gave up a sack, but that one is on Cam. Cam is on a block release, which means
I did see that.
He's supposed to look well, now he's supposed to block. He's clearly supposed to block that defensive end. For some reason, doesn't see him, and he checks out to go, and Zion Nelson's left on a guy who was gumming full speed. And
Just
it's at the end of the day, he's only 18. Like, he's probably not even 19 yet. Like, what? What did I say?
Nothing. Yeah, there's also in that same post where they discuss Nkosi's throw style, there's another article about Zion Nelson where they talk about some of his technical skills and protecting against that speed, which obviously Harris did miss. You know, he could have obviously helped out with that. And he just, like, went wherever. But Zion Nelson is definitely not as bad as he has been.
Yeah, because a lot of people want that.
I'm not going to make excuses for him, though.
I don't think he's being helped at all. Anybody is on this offense. I mean, they're all put in such bad positions. You're going to force me to say it every week that this offense is awful. We are not even behind the curve. We are behind the norm of the college football world right now.
But you always say Miami needs to be different. Miami is different.
Fair, but we're 4-4.
It's not going to matter. The O-line's terrible. The QBs are terrible. Spread or no spread, I think even if we run spread, it's not going to make a difference. I'm just being honest.
I don't think you know enough about
Kosi's terrible.
Yeah, I think with Kosi it doesn't matter.
Well, he's hurt. I'm sorry. Let me retract.
Yeah,
Kosi's hurt. Just let him go. Because Jaren is not ready to play the big league.
We're going to discuss spread later. In terms of what this
we are not talking about spread.
In terms of what this offense is right now and the way it's run, it is designed specifically for Jaren, I would have to say. Because Kosi is erratic. Kosi is playing flat out scared at times. And he is diverting all QB responsibilities in the middle of the play because he is scared to get hit. And it's why play him then if we're scared to get hit and he's not standing tall in the pocket and making those tough throws like Tom Brady is supposed to do throughout his career. Like, that's what Tom Brady does. That's that style of offense. You take your hits and you take what the defense gives you. And if Kosi can't do that, then why is he the one doing it? Because we're overthrowing receivers or throwing picks at crucial points in the game. I mean, like, what is the problem with playing Jaren if he doesn't have QB responsibility, doesn't have those done, didn't show up to practice? Like, if that's the case, fine, but it doesn't seem that way. It just seems like you just blindly picked Kosi and expected us to believe that Jaren was still hurt, and they reported that Jaren wasn't hurt, and now you're backtracking like they always have this whole season, and we're left with the fact that I don't believe anything at this point.
Yeah, now we're back to coaching 101. The coaches wanted to politic it up that Jaren was a QB when it didn't work out and Miami was losing and they started fearing for their jobs. Then they said Kosi was the one that's going to get us to win. And Kosi put up great numbers. The first game he came in and, whatever, and now it's so drastically worse, which he's injured. I'll keep saying that he's injured, that now they have too much pride to go back and say, we were wrong again. And Jaren is the guy that gives us the chance to win.
But this is what Miami fans have said since we said we wanted Perry. If you're going to play Perry, you got to do what you did at Virginia Tech. Because he threw for 400 yards that game in 3 quarters. Like, that game was insane. But then you go, no, we want him to play exactly like Jaren. And you're like, well, that's just stupid. Why would you do that? Because you clearly picked Jaren to do what Jaren does. Because Jaren's type of offense is the better one out of the 3, is what I would assume. Although I don't believe that at all. I just believe that Enos didn't want to run the scheme that Nick Saban wanted to run at Alabama. So he went where somebody would actually let him do whatever he wanted. And that's the whole, my gimmick with it is, why is, A, this offense being run, and B, why are we putting the inept people at the position when he's very clearly overthrowing balls, not being aware, not being clutch in the moment? Like, because it was like the moment you put in Jaren, it was like all those things started clicking. Like, he had a pretty not so good first drive because, the offensive line was kind of being a little suspect at that point, but like,
suspect.
At the end of the day, Kosi was just doing just enough to keep us from losing.
Jaren got us the win. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm giving Kosi some credit. He was doing enough to not make us lose in this game. He was 10 for 24. That is 41.2%. Like 41% in this game, and we still didn't lose. Like, that's nuts. And you think about that at all, that we go 10 for 24, unless you're the Army or the Navy and you run the triple option, 10 for 24 or 41% in general is awful. And then you combine that with the fact that you just throw Jaron back in, you're like, oh, Kosey's hurt. Don't believe that anymore. And you throw in Jaron, and it's just boom, 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 boom. He's getting his post-snap reads. He's reading the defense. He's reading those blitzes. Knows when to throw with the ball, when not to throw it, and when to tuck it and run and get the fourth down. I will say, Enos does Kosey absolutely zero favors. I've said this time and time again. He does it for no one. Like, we're in the shotgun, and we've got two edge rushers that are beating guys every time. And it's like, well, if that's their only responsibility is to play one-on-one and to rush our offensive linemen, we got one dude who's played a lot of games now, but he's still 18. He's a little undersized still. And you got Scaife, who you've taught all season to play guard, who plays tackle. He's not really meant to play tackle, but he's playing tackle right now. And so now you're one-on-one with two of their defensive ends who, quite frankly, are a part of the fact that they have 36 sacks this season. And so we're in this shotgun doing this, and Kosey drops even further back in a 5-step drop in the shotgun, which now puts you nearly 10 yards away from the line of scrimmage. And so while that doesn't bode well for anybody, Kosey still doesn't have the awareness to jump up the pocket and keep his eyes downfield. No, he steps back. His first read isn't open. He's looking across the line, figuring out which person is not doing their job completely. Because at the end of the day, you can't really keep your blocks longer than 3 seconds in this league, in the way that we are in this offense. So Kosey's got this clock in his head, and he's just not even looking at the passes anymore. He just got his eyes downfield. Here comes Mark Pope right across. Here comes Mike Harley back the other way. Here goes Brevin down the field, and we're just overthrowing Will Mallory when he finally gets his eyes upfield. And it's like, if there's two people on this team right now I feel the most sorry for, it's Brevin and it's Will Mallory. Everybody else, I think Dallas is getting his opportunities. Maybe we should get a little more. But Brevin and Will Mallory have to be two of the most underutilized people in the entire country right now. In terms of what their real athletic ability is, Brevin is the best tight end in the country. I thought Will Mallory was even better than Brevin coming out of high school. And here we sit where we have 16, 17, actually, if you really kick the extra point. We have 17 points in a game when it feels like we could have had a ton of points, even with the offense we were running.
You just need a quarterback.
So
you need to recruit a good quarterback because Jaren's not the answer.
I think Jaren is the answer for this offense in terms of ultimate QB. I mean, I would say Tate 1,000% at this point because
yeah, I mean that's Tate, but Tate's not going to stay.
I mean, in terms of QB controversy now as we get into this week, I mean, I don't think there is one. I mean, they're clearly saying that they have a QB controversy and that they've got a plan to go into the week, you know, what they're going to do, how they're going to figure out who to decide. And it's like, at this point, I'm pretty sure it's Jaren because Kosey was shambles by this game.
The only thing I know you're talking about quarterbacks. The honestly thing I want to hear about is Jeff Thomas.
Yeah, because apparently Dallas was back. Pigney was back practicing a little bit in their light Sunday night. I don't know if it's like a walkthrough or whatever the heck they do on Sunday nights, but apparently it's really light practice, and apparently they were there and were practicing. But he said the practice was so light that it doesn't really amount to much in terms of their usefulness. So it must be just walkthroughs. And so, I mean, bear in mind, all this comes from Manny Diaz and Dan Enos, who I believe a single word they say at this point.
You know, I get a lot of my information from YouTube comments, so I'm kidding. But some things that I've been hearing on the interwebs is that Dan Enos is recruiting some really good offensive linemen and some really, key players to run his – like, I'm serious. Like, I've seen a couple comments that Dan Enos is the man and he's working the recruiting and he's
Can
going
we just
here
call
and
him
here
what
and
he
here.
is at this point?
Well, I have a question, though.
Okay.
What is your tinfoil hat theory?
terms of
on Dan and
that's what I was about to say.
why he came from Bama to Miami.
I'm pretty sure I just said it a little bit earlier too.
But I want to hear just give me one sentence. Tinfoil hat.
Nick Saban knew exactly what he needed to run at Alabama, and he didn't want to do it. So basically, Nick Saban said, "Here's your plays. You just have to call them." And I think Eno said, "No," and Nick Saban said, "Fine." Like,
I don't think that sounds like tinfoil. I think that sounds like truth.
Like, if you know Nick Saban, you know that's exactly that's got to be at least remotely the truth. Not even remotely. That's got to be 75% of the truth. Because their offense looks the exact same this season, if not a little bit better than last season. Like, they run in the same vertical concepts they ran last season. Just get a little football nerdy on you. Like, this is the same spread. I guess it's a shortening term, but it's a spread pro-style offense that is very vertical, very fast, very aggressive in terms of what they're doing with the football. And they're doing it so well that their backup quarterback, who wasn't nearly the recruit that Tua Tagovailoa was, or even Jalen Hurts, but their backup quarterback does it just as well. Against Arkansas, mind you, but he scores 48 points in that same offense.
Alabama's got a team.
That's what I'm saying. This offense at Alabama functions so smoothly, so efficiently. It doesn't matter to a degree who is at that quarterback position. Tua Tagovailoa is an excellent quarterback, but these four receivers that they have are literally the fastest people on the planet.
We talked about this.
Like,
I honestly, Saturdays, which it's next Saturday, right? Yeah,
they
next
play
Saturday.
LSU?
Yeah, next Saturday.
Yeah.
That's the game.
Like,
we're gonna change our podcast from Tyler's Corner to Alabama LSU for 1 week.
Talk about the SEC for all I care, bro. Like, at the end of the day, Kosi was 10 for 24, is what we're saying.
I mean, Jaron was 4 for 8. That's 50%.
But he only played 2 drives.
Man.
He only played 2 drives. You can't.
Tom Brady would have went 8 for 8 or 7 for 8.
You sound like the Kosi Hive right now. You sound like the Kosi Hive, bro. Like,
I honestly, Kosi gets healed. Heals up his shoulder, gets back into practice. I don't like either of them anymore. Let Tate play for all I care.
I don't want Tate to play in this offense. And everybody's like, "Oh, Tate's leaving." If I as a Miami fan right now, am telling Tate Martell to get out of here.
I'm surprised Pope doesn't leave.
If Dan Enos stays this coming season for a second season,
he's going to.
I'm telling Tate Martell to get out of here. Please leave. I beg you. Tate Martell was on one of my lists, I would say, as quarterbacks I did not like. But he has come here, dealt with this bull crap. It said absolutely nothing the entire time. He's just hung out in Miami, doing his thing, said, "Fine, I'll play receiver." Hasn't said a word. And, now it's apparently, they're all like, there's got to be something wrong with Tate in this sense that they're like, "I don't know what Tate's doing." Tate got to come back, It's two QB race. It's like, what about Kosi, to me, screams he's better than Tate Martell of the clip that I showed last week, which was against D1 talent. But there's no way Tate Martell throws 41% completion rating in practice. So, you got anything else before I talk about the spread?
We're not talking about spread. The podcast is over.
No.
That's going to be it for this episode.
Negative.
If anything.
Negative.
We're going to talk about something else because the spread is not where it's at. We can talk about the polls.
I'll talk about this tweet at the end.
Best scoring differential per game, AP top 10, and P5 undefeated.
So this thing that you guys see on the screen right now is the tweet. This is the best scoring differential, as it says, for the top 10 teams in the country.
And let me guess what offense they run.
Let's go down the line.
No, let's not. Let's not.
Ohio State, spread.
Pro style.
Alabama, spread.
Pro style.
Clemson, spread. Penn State, spread. LSU, definitely a spread. Oklahoma, definitely a spread. Utah, that's a pro style offense.
You missed Georgia.
What'd I say?
You skipped to Utah, but you missed Georgia.
Georgia. That's definitely a pro-style offense. That's what I meant to say. Utah's a spread. Oregon's a spread. Baylor's a spread. Minnesota is a spread. And Florida is definitely a spread.
But Georgia. But Georgia, though.
Georgia's had, like, the top recruiting class the past 3 seasons.
Okay, well, Miami needs to get there. Miami needs to recruit better. And
do you want to know what they did last season?
What did they do last season?
What offense do you think they ran last season?
Who?
Georgia.
Spread.
So, the past couple seasons, they've been running a spread offense. How many offense in the entire ACC run a spread offense? All of them but 3. You want to know the 3? These 2 teams just played, Miami, Pitt, and Boston College. All run a pro-style offense. Boston College has got their tails kicked in by Clemson, and we just beat each other in our own system because Pitt's quarterback could not be more ill-equipped to run a pro-style offense.
Wow.
So,
that's the last page, folks.
I have nothing else to say. I think this point.
Fire.
I'm going to let you finish.
No, I'm not going to say that. I think Manny's doing a great job with the defense. It's clear that's not Baker.
There is a big rumor swirling around.
The Dolphins are leading?
There's no way.
7-0.
To the Steelers?
Yeah.
Okay, well, the game just started, that's why. I'm going to take this back off.
I think that Manny's doing a lot with the defense. I'm just going to be honest.
So
I don't think Baker's doing that by himself.
There's a rumor swirling around that Miami's athletic director, Blake James, is probably going to be fired at the end of the season. And then, therefore, they're looking to hire former Miami Hurricane, who is now in a part of the front office of the Cleveland Browns, Alonzo Highsmith. And there's a lot of other rumors that come with that in terms of, there's players leaving, this coach is going to get fired, all these coaches are getting fired. Some people are saying the whole coaching staff is getting gutted. I mean, at the end of the day,
I don't see that.
I see the top part happening the most of what I said, that Alonzo Highsmith will wind up being our athletic director before the end of the season. And that goes with what I said last week, that Miami needs an infusion of people that knew exactly what the culture was when they won championships. Alonzo Highsmith is Miami royalty. He was part of that first class of folks that came in the early 80s to establish Miami as the team, the hometown team in the state of Florida, in one of the highest recruiting beds in all of the country, I would say. I would say in all of the planet in terms of this particular sport. Miami as a town is probably one of the hottest beds of talent of football than maybe for any sport, for any other town. So Alonzo Highsmith is that guy that could bring in this culture and tell these kids exactly what it is. Because I know a guy named Brett Romberg and Brian McKinney on their podcast, they do nothing but bash the offensive line coach, Butch Berry, saying that the offensive line coach doesn't want them there. Brian McKinney's the lineman I told you about that got a Heisman vote.
We talked about, yeah.
And Brett Romberg is the guy. Him and Brian McKinney said they went down there at the beginning of the season to help out with technique. It said that one lineman in particular was just making jokes the whole time, didn't care. He said, if you care to know who it is, I'm not going to tell you, but he's not starting or playing at all. So, said that they can't go down there and coach or help Zion and, the rest of the line. He said particularly Zion and Scaife because McKinney played tackle. Romberg was kind of an inside guy. And said they can't go down there and just help them. They got to have the coach's approval. They can't do it during practice. But these are guys that want to implement the culture. Ed Reed, these guys want to coach, not necessarily at Miami, but for all intents and purposes, they want to coach. They want an opportunity. What better school to give you an opportunity than Miami, especially the position that we're in? It's not like we got anything else to lose other than going winless, but I doubt that'll happen with those guys. So here we sit with the potential, at least, for an infusion of the actual culture, the real one that was in the locker room, the real accountability of the people that were there. And these are guys that are interested in their respective jobs. And it's up to Miami's president to to decipher whether or not they care about Miami football or not. Because I think Miami is in this position where every other – I know people that go to SEC football for SEC schools right now for football, and their life the whole day is football, all day, especially right now. But, like, they don't worry about school. Like, all that is afterthought. The school tells him it is football. The whole semester doesn't matter what you do at school, really. Like, it is football right now. And then you flip that coin to Miami. Miami doesn't have anything to sell you in terms of anything special. Our facilities aren't special. We just got an indoor practice facility, and now everybody has that. We're not innovative in that matter, but only selling point we have at Miami is our history and our tradition and our culture. But it's like, if one of those things isn't even there and it's not tangible, it's not, you can't feel it in the air, whatever you want to say as a recruit, then why go to Miami when you could go to Alabama or LSU or even like Florida State, who's on our level, or Florida, when they've got all the facilities? They don't care about you as a student. You're there to make them money for football. They understand the business of football. Do you agree with me, or am I just talking?
No, I agree, but I just heard you say Florida State was on our level, but
we'll talk about that.
I think they're going to take it. I think they're going to take it. Yeah,
but
yeah,
Miami needs to acknowledge the fact that this sport makes them money, and that's why they care about it.
But Miami's always been like to my imagination, Miami's always been a party school. The fans are party people, In
terms of the sports, yes.
Yeah. So
as I was saying, the school itself is so preppy and so high class. They refuse to acknowledge the football team as a whole, it feels like, because they keep making, like, Manny Diaz may wind up being a good coach, but for all intents and purposes, it was a lazy hire. They did not go for it. Was one day and they had a head coach. Like, Manny was there, yes. He was a good candidate, yes, but he has no coaching experience.
He's a good defensive coordinator.
Yeah, but it's for Miami. He got kicked out of Texas because Texas didn't like him as defensive coordinator. So now you've got a guy who has literally maybe two good, because he was at Mississippi State. He's had two good stints at defensive coordinator, and you're saying he is prepared to be a head coach at Miami, of all places. Like, going to Temple is a pretty good jump because Temple had a good team. And now you say, you know what, we actually want you to come back to Miami, even though you have no experience coaching whatsoever. And
they might as well make Dan Enos the head coach. Because it seems like Manny doesn't have anything to do with – it seems like Manny is just letting Dan tell him whatever on offense, and Manny's like, okay.
That's what I'm saying. To an extent, that's what I want to say, is that when you got teams like Alabama who've got the facilities and you've got somebody at the helm of it like Nick Saban who says, I know exactly what we got to do. Either you do it and you get to look good in the process, or you leave and do what you think is best. If you want to have your own team, as he says, if you think you know what's best, why don't you go get your own team? Because that seems like the way it was with Enos, at least, because why would Enos' offense work at Alabama? Or even Gus Malzahn. Gus Malzahn runs his own offense.
I think any offense could work at Alabama.
True, with his talent, but Nick Saban is still that guy that says, I know exactly what we need to do on both sides of the football. Either you follow me and are the subordinate in terms of what actually the reality is, and you follow me, and then, maybe you're Kirby Smart and you actually got some good ideas and you get a head coaching job out of it, or you go somewhere else and we'll see how your idea does.
Yeah, but there's not many coaches like Nick Saban, though.
That's what I'm saying. And I think Miami needs that guy that says, I know exactly what I need to do.
You think Miami needs Nick Saban?
I think they need Nick Saban. Whether or not that's a reality, I don't really.
That's definitely not
I don't think I care to know. But they need a coach that's like that, like an old school guy that says, I know exactly what Miami needs. I know exactly who these players are around here, all this stuff.
I feel like Manny's that guy. I feel like he knows the old school.
That was my ultimate question. Is Manny this guy that could say that? Because as of right now, it seems like it's the first part where he's just saying, Enos can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
I'll be the CEO.
But to finish my statement,
Go ahead.
Manny is the guy that's this is how they did it in the old days. We're going to be, if you're missing tackles, there's going to be penalties. You're going to have to do, extra work in practice, blah, blah, blah. If you're dropping passes, you're going to have to do this. He makes them do the work. He requires them to – he sets a standard, as far as work ethic. But I think that's as far as it goes. I don't think that, as far as defense or, showing up to practice or doing this or doing, what he says, but to actually have him be, making offensive choices and, you know what I mean? I don't see that.
Yeah.
I see him being authoritative as far as, coming to practice, being on time,
Mm-hmm. Well, then you've got to nail your offensive coordinator hire and your defensive coordinator hire. You've got to nail those. And it seems like on paper that might have been Manny's thinking, as everybody else's was, that, man, Enos came from Alabama. This seems like a home run hire. Blake Baker is of the same offensive scheme, or defensive scheme, rather, as Manny Diaz. They're both aggressive. They both play fast. They both got some of the same plays, and Blake Baker's only 36.
Dan might be a great QB guy, but if the talent's already there, then you're not really. I'm just being honest.
It doesn't. It's like at this point we're in a stalemate in terms of the question: is Manny the guy? It's like everybody would be quick to say, you know what, I think Manny's the guy. But then it's like you flip it and you take a step back. You're like, is Manny the guy that says, I know exactly what we need to do on offense and defense to win us the games? Because that would ultimately determine what he does in the second season. Does he get rid of the guy who tries to make this offense do something it's not doing? Because we've been doing that for years and years and years.
Yeah. I mean, if everybody makes it through season one as far as coaching staff, I'm going to be shocked as it is.
Yeah.
I'm not technically saying Manny's going to get fired because I don't feel that.
No.
But as far as Dan, Baker, whatever. You got Manny, just
they've got – Miami's got some boosters that got some money. And there are rumors that they're saying that when Alonzo Highsmith comes, he's going to fire Manny Diaz. And I don't think that's necessarily the ultimate problem at the moment. And like I said, we're just at a stalemate with that question, in terms of facts. Like, I could think personally, but in terms of facts, will Manny be the guy that switches this offense to completely different and runs the norm of college football, as I've just showed you? That Oklahoma, while they lost, that offense was prolific. They put up 41 points with that offense.
Yeah.
Like, as I say this, I think every time now, too, Miami is over 50% in the blue chip ratio. We do not have terrible players. We have terrible coaching. I mean,
you got terrible quarterbacks.
Over 50% of our players were 4-star, 5-star recruits. Everybody knows the saying, though, about 3-star recruits for Florida. It's a Florida 3-star. Give me that kid over most of the 5-stars that you can find in Ohio.
Yeah, that's true.
Because Greg Rousseau is a 3-star prospect.
Really?
Yep. Jonathan Garvin was a 3-star prospect. Joe Jackson last season, who was currently in the NFL, he was a 3-star prospect. Pigney is a 3-star prospect. Trajan Bandy is a 3-star prospect.
Okay, well, wait, I take that back. Some of the first games this season, yeah, I see that. But
I think that was a switching scheme they were trying. I think Manny's
spread defense.
Spread defense.
Oh, it was bunch defense.
Yeah, I think Manny reined him in terms of what he was doing.
Yeah. Well, I think Baker took his, his liberty and kind of tried to did what he wanted to do. But, I feel like Manny's back in the saddle. You're getting the same defense you saw last year. Yeah. But a little bit, spicier.
It's like, I would say the analogy that I would say in my terms is like, Manny just said, here's my playbook from last season. You could call him, but it's got to be from here. Like, that would be, I would say, if Manny had that, that would then answer our first question that we have, if he's that guy.
But with offense, he has nothing to base on.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That would be the ultimate part is, does he want to be like everybody else in college football and just say we got better athletes, or is he really going to push his innovative thing to the edge and say we're completely different from everybody? But the key word of that is we're different, but are we innovative? Are we new? Are we fresh? Like, this offense has been around since the 70s, the 80s. Like, we have been around. The Dolphins are somehow beating the Pittsburgh. Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers are not that good, but the Dolphins are no longer tanking for Tua at this point.
So, I'm sorry, I can't help but watch it because it's just now 13-0 in the first.
Yeah, it's like this is now a more existential discussion with what Miami does in terms of coaching at the end of this season, because that's why I was clamoring for Tate at the end, because it's like, if I'm Enos, that's my only option, I would say, in my head, where this offense looks good and puts up points, is you're completely different. You go to spread and you go with Tate. But if you're going to keep the offense the exact same as it was the first couple of games, and now we're going back to Jaren after trying out everything with Kosi, it's like now we're back to square one. Show me what you got with this, because it's proven to get you fired at Arkansas. It's proven to get you fired at Central Michigan. Like, you were the backup offensive coordinator at Alabama. You did not call plays. The real play caller got himself a head coaching job, and now we're stuck with you.
I thought he was mainly the QB coach at Alabama.
Yeah. He was the co-offensive coordinator.
But he was mainly brought in just to be QB coach.
Yeah, probably, because he is an insane prepper for the quarterback position. Like, he is the guy that when there isn't a senior figure on the team in terms of that position, quarterback is specifically quarterback, and that is one of the more important positions in football, is that he is that authoritative figure that tells you exactly what you're supposed to do with no prejudices, I would say, in terms of, he doesn't know what he's doing, he automatically doesn't play. He just comes in with that mindset of, not everybody knows what they're doing if they don't have a senior on the team. Sometimes your senior on the team is a junior and Tua, and maybe he leaves. And then now next year you don't have an authoritative figure on the team that doesn't know everything there is to know about prepping as a quarterback. Maybe you're not taking notes right. Maybe you're not paying attention enough in meetings. Like, that is what Enos is good at. And he's good at mechanics, and that shows with Jalen Hurts. And in terms of Miami quarterbacks, how does that show for it? I guess that remains to be seen, because I don't know how many more games we win. I mean, there's not many tough games left. I mean, Florida State is always going to be a good one, no matter what. It was a good one last season.
Those updated rankings. ACC.
And Miami is 5th. Miami needs Virginia to lose twice and all these other teams to lose once.
I wouldn't mind seeing Miami play Clemson at the end of the year.
I do not want to.
I mean, honestly, though, just to see it.
Yeah. To see where we're at and see how bad our offense
honestly,
really is. Because
maybe they'll put in Tate.
It's like, at the end of the day, this offense is what it is, and if it's the exact same next season, brother, this could be some trouble. Like, we'll have maybe Jeff leaves to go to the NFL. Definitely not going to have KJ. Dallas probably. Jeff Thomas.
Yeah, he can stop getting suspended.
True. You may not have DJ Dallas, and it's like, there's your big playmakers. Now they're gone.
The whole team's gone.
And our offense is the exact same. It's that case with the defense is what it was. Is that next year you're going to be without Mike. You're going to be without Shaq.
Yeah, but McLeod is redshirting.
Yeah, and then
Russo's good,
It's like that comes back, and it's like fresh air. Like, okay, our defense is not as bad as it was.
Who's seniors on the D-line?
No one, other than Garvin is a junior, and if Garvin was having a better year, I would say he would probably be leaving. Number 97.
Yeah.
Trayon Hill, 94. He's like our backup rusher. He was really good on pass rushing.
He's a senior?
He's a senior. He transferred from Virginia Tech. So we got a good defensive end depth. Like, that's not the problem. D-line depth in general is not our problem. It's linebacker. And we don't have much corner depth either. We only got like 4 corners.
You don't have corner height either.
True. Bandy is only like 5'10". Bandy's a junior. If he has he kicks up the second half, he could be gone.
I don't see.
There's not a lot.
I don't see anybody from this Miami team going to the NFL.
I could see that.
I mean, leaving early to go to the NFL.
Yeah. I know what you meant.
I think stay next season. You have a much better chance if Manny Diaz is still
I think
there.
the only one realistically that has a real chance of leaving is Dallas. I'm not sure how many good running backs are even in this upcoming class.
I do like Jeff Thomas. KJ Osborne's.
If Jeff Thomas, KJ is a senior, so then Jeff Thomas.
But I mean, like,
if there's a way he gets drafted.
Yeah. I don't know if KJ's NFL.
KJ always is like needed in the NFL for like those guys. They'll try those guys out just to anyway. They'll see what those guys got, whether it's a unrestricted free agent, undrafted. They'll give those guys the opportunity. Can they make those catches in the NFL? It's like, well, in that case, we see guys like AJ Green who, like on Madden, has like an 87 speed at receiver. Like he's one of the highest paid receivers in the NFL because he just catches everything that's thrown to him. He's not beating people with speed or whatever. So the only realistic junior that I see that could leave would be Dallas. I mean, because I don't know if the running back pool is all that deep. I mean, I can't think of any running backs off the top of my head that are doing that well other than Jonathan Taylor and Najee Harris. Because it's like after that, it's like who else in my head? Jonathan Taylor's from Wisconsin, and they run the ball like 50 times a game. So I would see.
We talked about that Monday.
I could see him leaving, but it's like if Dallas leaves, then I think we're in a pretty big trouble because Cam doesn't show that same explosiveness as Dallas does. Cam is good.
I think Cam, if has an open field, he can.
I really like Cam in the open field once he gets outside the tackle box and he's able to, because he's really shifty. He looks like he's really hard to just get a grip on. Yeah. You know, and he just doesn't have that burst that's just like I'm faster than everybody on the field.
You're just used to DJ Dallas breaking 7 tackles, and
it's got to. Dallas has that talent, and so if I'm Dallas and I'm sticking with the same offense, it's like this offense ain't doing nobody no favors. You know, does he leave? So all this is like it could be topsy-turvy if we keep going in the same direction and we just become status quo in terms of the offense. Because I don't see us, no matter how good we wind up doing, I, as a Miami fan, do not want Daniels anymore.
Well, let's see what he does recruiting-wise.
I don't think that makes up for it at all. I don't think it does. I mean, it just doesn't.
We'll see.
That was a very grim one. I feel like I talked a lot on this one. Did not mean to do that.
So, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up. Let us know what you think about Miami. I would recommend after you watch this, get done, you should turn on the Dolphins game. Yeah.
Or follow Roman on Twitter because that's where I get a lot of my play breakdown information. Yeah. He does a play breakdown on Miami's quarterbacks. And he does it on YouTube, and he works with Kane's Insight and stuff. And he's real insightful on things that because I'm not an offensive guy at heart, even though I talk a lot about offense. And he knows a lot more about offense than I do, so that's usually where I get a lot of my information.
You heard it here first.
But
yeah, I mean, obviously we don't watch the game and get all of our information. Sometimes we use credited sources. But sometimes we do like to tinfoil our own ideas.
Yeah.
Most of my ideas are tinfoil, but they seem to work, you know. The last 2 games I've called have been right. But the rest of the season...
I don't know if I would call the Georgia Tech game being right on that one. I don't know if I'd call that a victory.
I said they were going to win.
I know, but I wouldn't say that's a victory in your head.
Here we go. You want to talk about the chains?
Oh. The fact that they did get the first down or whatever. No, what I want to talk about is that the Pitt player who picks off N'Kosi Perry and takes the U and smashes it over his knee and then gets blown up on the last play of the game, misses the tackle, and then KJ runs it for a touchdown. That's what I want to talk about.
I mean, we started talking about it earlier, but you didn't want to talk about it.
I didn't want to talk about it because I wanted to save it till the end. I wanted to give a
I think his name was Kessler or something.
Yeah, I don't know. But if Texas has the hook'em horns. Yeah. It's apparently very disrespectful and can get you a flag if you do them down.
Well, didn't he get a flag for throwing to you?
I don't think so. KJ showed a picture too. All the Pitt fans are flicking him off after he scores the touchdown, and it's everybody else gets to do it, It's just another case of everybody hates Miami. It don't matter. You could be just a fan of Iowa. I don't know why I said it like that, but Iowa, and you would probably still hate Miami.
Iowa.
But everybody hates Miami, and it seems like every year that's just more affirmation that that's the reality.
Honestly, I don't even think people hate Miami this season because they're just. It's hard to hate.
There's nothing to hate on. We're not doing good.
I mean, yeah.
How do you hate on the team that's already bad? You're like, well.
It's like everybody's hating on FSU this season.
It's like Miami as what we always were. It's like, you suck. It's like, well, yeah, I was at that game. I know we sucked.
Yeah.
We won 5 games.
I was there. I bought the shirt.
Like, everybody used to say that when I was in high school. It's like, bro, I know we suck. I told you we sucked. Like, just 5 minutes ago. Yeah. When you started talking about Florida, I'm like, oh, man, we suck. Don't even get me started. And then, that's where we're at. So, I'm very interested to see. We'll have our Florida State. It is officially Florida State week. Woo! No. That is the only thing in this season really left to look forward to, unless something drastic happens in the Coastal.
This is the only thing to look forward to?
I mean, yeah.
Duke, Miami Duke. I'd rather watch Miami Duke.
I'm saying every week you kind of have to look forward to it but this game you have to, this is the game of the season because if we lose, we are done in the Coastal. And the season is nothing else, it's done. Like, we're just stuck at where we're at with our terrible offense. But if we can beat Florida State and a couple of teams lose, this team loses here, this team loses there, we're back in it. And we could be playing Clemson again for the end of the season. So.
All right, Lewis. Yeah, thanks for watching, man.
Oh, somebody commented? I had that up the whole time.
Thanks for the show. Yeah, Tyler, he goes on his rant, so he doesn't really
I
pay
had
attention.
it up the entire time. And in the moment, I'm not even looking at it.
Yeah,
thanks for watching.
Yeah.
I know we have audio that only comes out of one headphone.
Yeah, but which Lewis did point that out.
Yeah,
he's our faithful
I'm pretty
follower,
sure he was the one that pointed that out too. Yeah, thanks for that. But it's a work in progress.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
We got Florida State coming up. We'll have that preview coming out on Thursday night. You down for Thursday night?
Yeah, it's the same nights every week.
Yeah.
I mean,
Andrew's got a different schedule now, so I don't know why I confirmed it on the podcast, but yeah, we'll do it Thursday night. We'll talk about Florida State. Probably gonna have a lot to talk about on that one because they're gonna name a quarterback on Wednesday, is what they said. Yeah. So that one is that game is gonna be really important. It's Miami, Florida State, as always.
Yep.
So it's always going to be a certain way. Just both teams now just happen to be terrible. So
yeah. So as always, thank you guys for watching. We appreciate you, and we'll catch you Thursday night.
Here. Thanks for watching, guys.
And as always,
it's always go Canes, no matter what happens.
Why are you saying it like a sassy white girl?
Because you were looking at me like it's always.
Well, I'm just
you were throwing it to me from Channel 5 News. Like it's always.
It's always.
It's always about the U. It's always.
I mean, I'm not gonna say it, but
it is for me. Like it's always that way.
I'm not gonna say